From blown double-figure leads to blocked field goals returned to ice the game, and that really bad contract from Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. What's the latest roundup of chaos in the NFL this week?
You would have thought the way Buffalo limped into Houston that this game would have been a foregone conclusion. But Josh puts on the cape and leads a valiant effort. But in the end, CJ and the Texans end up victorious.
Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow put on their own capes this week and sure put on a show for the fans. But which one slipped up the most at the end and cost their team the dub?
Chiefs Saints Monday night. Not two of my most favorite teams, but I've got to pick one to win. Who do you think it's going to be?
Sunday Scaries with Bucks McGee, week 5. Oh, where do we start? I guess we'll find out in a second.
Week 5. Now, I think week 5 was one of the more entertaining weeks, honestly, Nutmeg. Like, legit, I think it was some quality football. The 1 o'clock slates were legit. Usually the 1 o'clock games are the blah games, but I don't know, man. I thought it was a fun week. What did you think?
I, well, I'm really glad I took Washington in my strike pool because everyone else got decimated out of Survivor and not me.
Cleveland is such a joke. I'm over it. I'm done with it. Just send Watson home. Let him sit, collect his check, and let him play Bobby Bonilla for the next couple of years. It's time to move on.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot. That's only one. We've got a special little game to play later on because that's only one of a great many games in this week 5 Sunday that we kind of. I don't even know if say scratching our head on them does the emotion quite justice here.
I don't know. Like I said, I thought some of the games were really good. A lot were close and entertaining. Some other ones, I was just like, "What is this franchise doing?" And this is where we're at. I don't know. They either were great or they were just head scratchers.
Carolina Panthers. Sorry, that's all in my throat there. So let's start off with one of the ones that was a bit more entertaining from both sides of the ball, although not necessarily if you're a fan of defense, because now I mean really we shouldn't be surprised by this because you have been down on the Baltimore Ravens defense all year. They're not the same unit. They're old. The new pieces aren't fitting together. And Cincinnati's defense has just been absolutely abysmal. They've the few bright spots they've had are just because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are unbeatable. So
Mm-hmm.
these two hit each other, and it went in a weird way because the Bengals. At first, I'm thinking like, oh, here's the Bengals. They're gonna struggle again, but eventually they got going. And then the Ravens, they started off strong with Derrick Henry, and then they went away from him for like 2.5 quarters. And Lamar took a little while to get going, but up until the end, this was really just boom, 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 scoring bonanza. So up until the end, which we'll get to, who were you more impressed with from the quarterback perspective?
I'm gonna say Burrow because he said it, a couple days ago. He said I've got to be nearly perfect to win this game, and he almost was. It's just the fact that when you got Justin Tucker on the other side, you're kind of at a disadvantage. But the offense woke up. I'll give Cincinnati credit. They were moving the ball up and down the field, couldn't stop a nosebleed, but at the end of the day, I guess they could take that as a kind of a there are no moral victories, but I guess they could say, all right, at least we got our offense going. I don't know, man. They're still a team that's just not all there.
Yeah, I was all ready to write up some custom lyrics for our show for the Cincinnati Nightmare. His
Uh,
kingdom his kingdom did not hold.
no, And like you said, it's Baltimore, early going looked like they had control of the game, and then they went away from Derrick Henry. I don't know why, made no sense. They just kept running the ball, but no,
Yeah.
you decide you want to have Lamar go throw with Joe Burrow. Makes no sense to me, but at the end of the day, you put up enough points to win.
And to double down on that, if you did just keep handing the ball throughout the entirety of the game to Henry, you would have kept Burrow off the field, and maybe the scoring wouldn't have gotten as out of control as it wound up getting.
Yeah, exactly. Because all you got to do is feed King Henry. You're gonna eat the clock. At that point, you're in good shape. But you're just looking for quick scores. Why? Especially when you've seen that Cincinnati all of a sudden is shredding your defense. So let's say, okay, hold on. You know what? Let's run the ball. Let's eat some clock. Let's get out of here without too much damage. And you got by. You got lucky.
Yeah. And it's easy to say the one that had the worst effect was Burrow's interception, just because that was the one that set up the final drive in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
But which one kind of when it happened and in respect to the flow of the game, which one felt bad? Lamar taking his eye off the snap and the ball getting kicked around like a hot potato and a real deflating moment for Baltimore, or the pick with Burrow? Like which one kind of will live rent free in the quarterback's head for a longer time?
At the end of the day, when you lose, those things are magnified. So you got to say Burrow. You got to say Burrow in the pick because I think Cincinnati was kind of feeling, okay, we win this game. This is where it turns around. This is where, all right, we need that defining game to get our season back on track. So when he throws the pick, it's kind of like, all right, our defense hasn't stopped anything. Maybe this is where we get the stop and we're able to, turn this around. And of course, we know what happened. But yeah, I'd say Burrow in the pick.
Yeah, and just as a devil's advocate perspective, do you think Lamar's fumbling a snap played any factor in either his own play calling or the offense's head play calling with them going right back to Henry for overtime? Be like, we're just gonna hand this to Henry and let him bust 70 yards down the field to set up the score.
No, I don't think the fumble. I don't think it really matters because it's not like he has fumbling issues or anything like that. Unfortunate play. They were able to survive it. Within another couple days, no one's even going to care about it.
Yeah, just shake it off and hope it doesn't happen again, I guess.
when you win, it's easy to shake those things off.
Yeah. So today got started a little early over in London.
Lord,
And
man.
to me, I will say the Jets had plenty of opportunity to win this one. Like they could have gotten blown out, but the defense did keep keep Aaron Rodgers in the game. He had a little bit of a scare getting rolled up on, but he came right back in thanks to a penalty on the kicker. Um, but like I look at this one and I'm thinking, especially after what Joe Flacco did down in Jacksonville, like Aaron Rodgers, he's got to be the quarterback in the NFL with the least juice left in his arm, because there's no reason why first of all, he finally looked at Garrett Wilson. I don't. We've been waiting weeks for him to look at Garrett Wilson. Now, granted, he barely had over 100 yards and 13 targets, 13 receptions. Excuse me. So it's not like he was throwing downfield. So all this adds up to me. It's like, is Aaron Rodgers gun shy, or is there nothing left in the arm?
Oh, you mean the greatest quarterback to ever live, Aaron Rodgers? Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh. Yeah.
that guy.
All right. So we're officially on Devontae Adams' watch. All right. So basically, no, I honestly just I don't know if they're not on the same page. There's been talk of that, throughout the season. I don't know. There's a misconnect there somewhere. I don't get it. And to see Aaron throw 3 picks in a game, yeah, you could either say, yeah, he's trying to make throws that he can't anymore, but it's not like he was throwing 50, 60-yard bombs. He pretty much lived in the middle of the field, and it was a pretty low key passing attack from that aspect. But I don't know if they're just not running the right routes. A couple of those picks I think were on Aaron. That last pick, I don't know. You can argue it either way, but this is what the Jets paid for. So now with the way things went today, I'm sorry to tell you, and people are going to be all in arms about it, but this points directly to Davante Adams because he knows Aaron exactly what he wants and what he needs. So they're going to think he's going to be the answer. But at the end of the day, yeah, the Jets should have won this game, but they didn't. It's just their season. They don't have it. They just can't figure it out.
Yeah, and to your point from the pregame show, it's like Davante will be happy probably getting targets from Aaron, and Aaron will be happy throwing to someone he's familiar with because on the Jets right now, the only one outside of today with Wilson, the only one that gets looked at is Alan Lazard.
Dude, Alan Lazard is his oh my goodness. It was like the Alan Lazard show. You would have thought Alan Lazard was like a 9-time Pro Bowler and blah, blah, blah. I was like, good gosh. Now, Tyler Conklin was decent when he went to him a couple times, but yeah, it was literally the Alan Lazard show. They couldn't run the ball, and I don't know what's happened with Breece Hall. It's like he's disappeared.
It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Like, use him. He's one of the most dynamic running backs in the league.
It's like they just picked him up. They picked him up off the practice squad. The guy's lucky to get 30 yards a game. It's just, I don't know what is going on with him. And again, that defense keeps them in games. It took a while for that defense to get going, but when they did, they were able to really stymie that offense, that Vikings offense. But at the end of the day, it's the Jets offense. That's their doom.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll add on Davante Adams is the fact that, okay, yeah, Aaron's gonna throw to him, and Aaron's his guy, so he'll be happy in that regard, and Aaron will be happy because it's someone he's familiar with. But if his arm really is shot, he's not gonna have any more. They're not gonna have any more success with him throwing downfield to Adams than they currently are not experiencing throwing downfields to Wilson, which they're not even attempting to do. So again, like, okay, this is gonna grab the headlines, and it's gonna have a temporary moment of euphoria with making the stars happy. But I don't see it changing this team's trajectory at all this year.
No, but no one's talked about Aaron's arm like that. What they're going to say is, oh, for some reason he just can't go deep because they can't run the ball, and which makes no sense. But but no, that's what's going to happen. The Jets are that desperate because they made this bed. Once they signed Aaron Rodgers, they gave him the key to the franchise. So whatever Aaron wants, he's going to get. So Davante Adams will come to the Jets. I don't know what they're going to give up. It wouldn't surprise me if the Jets do something stupid and give him Garrett Wilson and something else. I wouldn't doubt it. It wouldn't surprise me. It's not like they're going to send Alan Lazard to the Raiders. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Why would they want that?
Aaron wants to come on now. This is Green Bay North, legit Green Bay Northeast. So it's tough. Like, they can't run the ball. They got to be able to run the ball. That's just what it is. And for Breece Hall to be like this, there's a definite issue there. They're, like I said all along, this defense is going to carry this team. It looks like they want Aaron to be a game manager because that's about as best as he can be right now because that's what he's looking like, a low-end game manager.
Well, to that point, I think that's the way they should be. They should be treating this like the Denver Broncos treated that last year with Peyton Manning, where just do what you're capable of doing, and we'll rely on the defense shutting guys down. We'll rely on a heavy dose of the run game, and as long as the receivers catch the ball and can make some yards after catch, that's good enough. Just don't turn the ball over.
Yeah, but Peyton would do that because he'd put the team above himself. Is Aaron Rodgers going to do that?
Not what this has looked like. Obviously, he didn't spend any time in 2 off seasons working with these receivers.
Aaron has never been a team first guy. Let's be realistic here. That's not him. So he still thinks he's probably mid-career, at his highest power, Aaron Rodgers. And he's not. And this is what this team is going to be. And you could tell on the sidelines, looking at Robert Saleh, dude, that guy looks depressed. He's like, I just want to get fired. He just looks like literally, there's no emotion, like no smiles, no nothing. He's just like, man, I hate my job. If I was him, I'd be like, yeah, fire me. Let me move on. I don't want to deal with this mess. But This is the circus of Aaron Rodgers. So Jets fans enjoy that.
Jets
And good job, Minnesota, 5-0. Good job.
yeah.
Good job. Let's not sit there and shrug them up either. They won ugly. You didn't win pretty, you won ugly, but you won. That's all that counts.
They did win ugly because to that point you had Jefferson. I think he had like 90 yards, but at one point in the game, I think he had gotten the teams more yards via penalty than he had actually catching it and making a play on the ball. And Sam, he was efficient. You know, he wasn't a turnover machine or anything, but he wasn't the Sam we've seen in the last couple of weeks. So you're right. And Aaron Jones, who's been amazing this year, was very, very pedestrian. So winning ugly is a good way to put it.
Well, once he got out of the game with the injury, when Jones was out with the injury, at that point it was like, okay, what's this run game going to be? So they had to figure out something and manufacture drives. You know, and then there was a point in the game where Sam started getting out of himself and starting to try to do things, out of the norm. And it was kind of like, all right, Sam, calm it down. Just throw the ball away. Stop trying to be a hero. Your defense is decent enough. And their defense played decent. I got to give Minnesota's defense credit. They played decently enough. And that second half, Sam kind of got it back together, and they were able to put it together and pull out a win. Not all of them are going to be, these things of beauty where everyone's going to be like, Sam Darnold's back. Sam Darnold's incredible. He's the man now. Sometimes you got to win ugly, and nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and Addison was the other one who was just non-existent in this one. So, yeah, it's a gutted one out.
That's it. And you're 5-0. Enjoy it.
Yeah, and we'll get to the other undefeated team later, but you're one of two left at the moment.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yeah, but real quick before we move on, the Jets fans may be clamoring for Tyrod Taylor sooner or later than later.
Tyrod's sitting there going, man, I could have done that, man. Look at this man. Look at this mess. But hey, getting that check. Go ahead, Tyrod. Yeah. By week 10, we'll see Tyrod Taylor. There you go.
Well, Tyrod's former team, the Buffalo Bills, they obviously got embarrassed last week down in Baltimore. They're on the road again. They go to Houston. And, I mean, this had all the glitz and glamour to being the big matchup this week. You were a little down on that because of lack of faith in Josh's receivers. Now, Keon Coleman did show up.
It's because there was nobody else. There was nobody else. It was like the walking wounded. Like their injury report was like 12 miles long.
Speaking of injury reports, the Texans is one that's probably not going to look too good after this one because Nico Collins now has a hamstring injury after having an amazing first half. And that's obviously not going to be very good because he's been one of the best receivers in the league so far this season. And the Texans offense seemed to sputter a little bit and kind of let Buffalo creep back into this one after he left the game, which Josh did not play well. So to let Buffalo creep back in when Josh is playing like doo-doo, it kind of adds a little insult to injury.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't know if the Texans are just at this point just trying to find themselves still and such. Yeah, the way Buffalo came into this game, basically half the team on the injury report, hot mess. It really, if this was the Texans of last year, they would have. This would have been like 31-10, if that. It would have been it probably would have been the same score that Buffalo lost last week. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if it's just the Texans playing down to their competition, or if Nico really is the straw that totally drives that offense. I don't know. But now it's going to be everybody else, and it's going to probably be a lot more Stephon Diggs.
It could be a little bit of mix of both because CJ Stroud started out was perfect to start this one out, 10 for 10 or something like that to start the game. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of had how CJ Stroud's been this season and had that lull. And at the end, he kind of got his swagger back a little bit and led the drive for the game-winning field goal. So it could have been a little mix of both. A lack of Nico's effect on the offense and a little inconsistent, a bit of inconsistent overall from the quarterback play.
They're just going to have to clean up some things on defense, and they can't. You can't let a team like that come creeping back, because if they believe they got a shot, there's enough talent on that Buffalo team where they probably could have pulled it out. But like I said, they were the walking wounded. So it's one of those things where this year that's what probably is going to happen to Buffalo. They're going to win some games, they're going to lose some games, and they're going to maybe make the playoffs, maybe, but you got to give them credit, A for effort, but the Texans pulled it out, and that's what you're supposed to do. Win ugly, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, another one. And to that point, the outlook on the season. I mean, we're over here, very fine tuning, picking apart these two squads. But when it comes down to the actual impact on the season, Houston is still 4-1, and they're in a they're in a division with the Jags, who are awful, the Colts, who are in the infirmary, and the Titans, who are equally awful, if not more than the Jags. So, like, they kind of almost have a very long leash of imperfections to withstand.
You have that long leash, but we know how the NFL season goes. That last quarter or so, you'll get a team that should be totally out of it and not even care, pull off 2 or 3 straight wins, and of course there'll be division wins, and then that throws a kink into everything come playoff time. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where the Texans have got to say, you know what, we're supposed to win this game. Let's get it done. Let's put it away early as soon as possible, so we can rest whoever, get everybody going, and go from there. That's what they need to do. They need to have that killer instinct. And if they go on like this and they don't develop that, they could end up on the losing end, and it could be something that, could affect a seeding or a playoff altogether.
And on the other side of the coin, we have the Bills, who started out 3-0, much to a little bit of our own surprise. Obviously, we were down on them last year. They kind of surprised the world to get into the playoffs. We're down on them in the offseason, selling everything off. So they kind of surprised us, starting out 3-0. Now they dropped the last two, 3-2. If you're keeping score at home, and this one, like, if you're the Bills, are you hitting the alarm buzzers yet? Because you have the Patriots, who aren't exactly world beaters right now. The Jets, we've gone over their issues, to, both in this show and every other week of the season, it seems. And then the Dolphins, like the Colts, another infirmary-laden team. So if you're the Bills, are you kind of hitting the alarm bells right now? Or are you kind of like, all right, maybe we have a little bit of a longer leash to deal with our imperfections as well?
I think Buffalo's saying, if we can get healthy, then we can win this division. Like, let's be honest. New England is New England. That's just a dumpster fire. We knew that was the way it was going to be at the beginning of the season. Miami, without Tua, the quarterback situation is a mess. Unfortunately, that offense is going to be lucky to score 15 points a game. The Jets, once they get Devontae, could clean some stuff up. It's going to be a 2-horse race. And it's just going to be whether the Jets offense can at least be somewhat consistent, because they're just not consistent whatsoever. I think Buffalo, when it comes to a consistency aspect, is a better offense when healthy.
Yeah.
When healthy. So it's just going to be whoever gets healthy and whoever can just put a string together of like 4 or 5 straight wins and go from there. So it's a 2-horse race, but if I'm Buffalo, I'm not worried. I know I came into this game limping, and we get everybody healthy, and we should be good to go.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same vein. I'm like a little concerned, but not overly concerned, just because of the mess that the Jets kind of are.
Right.
But before we run into a little bit of a rapid fire, we want to give a quick shout out to someone from the preseason that you really like to play, and then you got to see him show off a little bit when they visited your beloved Bucks. And Bo Nix put up a show against division rival the Raiders this Sunday.
I said Bo Nix, man, could be one of the better young quarterbacks out of the draft. And Bo, man, he's playing like a seasoned vet. He may not put up the numbers, but that man's got some heart and some spunk, man. Go ahead, Bo Nix. Congratulations. Go ahead, boy. Bo Nix. Bo Nix, man. Bo Nix. And like I said, man, If he gets them into the playoffs, man, I'll rock that Bo Nix jersey. Bo Nix. And then I will put it on eBay. So anyone out there who's a Denver fan, I'll put that on there. I'll put my eBay on the bottom there, and you guys can bid on it because I don't want that mess.
Sign it, Bucks McGee.
Sign it, Bucks McGee. You know, if you guys want it signed. If not, I'll just give it to you. I'll give you the tags and receipt.
Dear Bo, you withstood the hurricane that is
Ben DiNucci. You're lucky Ben was gone. Love Bucks McGee, a.k.a. if DiNucci was there, you wouldn't be starting.
Yeah.
But no, you got to give Denver credit, man. Denver's a legit team, man. They're like that team that plays for each other, and they're just like, no one believes in us, and we're gonna do it. It's that feel-good movie kind of deal, and they figure it out, man. They don't care. They are like, we don't care. We're gonna play, and if you don't take us seriously, we're gonna beat you. And that's what they're doing.
Does that bother you because Sean Payton's not in your MySpace top 8, or are you okay with it because how obnoxious Russ was the last couple of years?
Oh yeah, Russell's annoying as hell. No, I think it really was. No, I think it's a clean slate. You know, it's good. You know, I think they're in a better position than they were with Russ. Like, let's be honest. Russ had his own office. It was like Russ and the Russ and the Broncos. It should have been like the Denver Russes. That's what it was. It was all about Russ. You know, but you know, like this team. When you talk about the Denver Broncos, you talk about the Denver Broncos. Yeah, you know, Bo Nix is the starting QB, but you're not talking about one guy and his, this, that, or the other thing. They're like a cohesive unit, and they're building something out there. So I'm impressed.
Yeah. So we're gonna play a little game right now called Who Had It Worse, because there's several games this week that bring back emotions from the previous 4 weeks as far as how did that happen? How did this team lose to that game? How did this game end in that fashion? So we're going to play a little game of Who Had It Worse. And the first one.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Craft Brew Reviews. You just missed our. You just missed our.
Denver. Bravo. Bo Nix. Bo Nix, man. Bo Nix. Second best rookie this year. Bo Nix, second best rookie.
Yes. Yeah, only trailing Jayden Daniels at this point. So we'll start off with the aforementioned Patriots, and this is a team that you could start with this game. You kind of figured, okay, they're not, they're not
they're not good, man. Just say it. They're not good. Like, we knew what they were going to be, man. Like, if people in New England had this thought that Gerard Mayo was going to come in and with Jacoby Brissett and all of a sudden they were going to be this grind-out team and they were going to win games 15-9 and they were going to somehow surprise – if they were going to be the Denver Broncos, because that's what Denver is now, let's be real. Yeah. No, New England sucks. Their defense is the only thing worth saving, so –
but to that point, you'd think this would be one of a few bright spots on their schedule because the Dolphins are in the medical ward and the games start off. The Patriots were doing okay. So they just happened to flatline at the end of this one. And they wind up back in a 1-4 hole like we probably figured the kind of start the Patriots would be anyway. So, I mean, how bad do you feel if you're the Patriots having a game that they were winning, should have won given the circumstances with Miami, and they're back taking the L as at the end of the day, like they probably.
It's like it was last year. It's no different than last year. So the guys that were there, this is normal. There's no shoulda, coulda, woulda. They stink. Like they just don't have the talent. I'm sorry to tell you, Jacoby, you are tanking. Either you're tanking for the number one, or you just truly don't believe Drake May is ready yet. Because I think a lot of people in the NFL would be like, you know what? Maybe we give Drake the second half and see what he's got. Like, what are you waiting for? Is Drake May really not ready to take over a half of football because you guys can't score? You can't do anything? Ramon Stevenson is your only offensive weapon because nobody else does anything. Hunter Henry, whatever, don't even try it because he needs a quarterback. Like, let's be real here. So New England is just either just letting it fall apart because they want that number 1 pick, or they just don't get it. Or Gerard Mayo is just too much of a player coach and is like, okay, Jacoby, I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to stick with you. No, man. They got to go. Just, straight up ass. Straight up ass.
So, you think just business as usual. They shouldn't get too down on themselves because this is probably where they should be anyway.
This is what you knew. Everybody in America knew this is what you were going to get. If they were 3-2, I would have been shocked. I would have been shocked as all if they were 3-2 right now. No, 1-4, nice. So they're probably going to go 0-5 the next set. Let's be real. They're going to be lucky to win 3 games. Like, they're horrible. They're just horrible. Like, why are we even talking about them, man? Like, just let it go. It's bad. It's bad.
The next one up on who had it worse is not just the Cleveland Browns on this day, but the Cleveland Browns as an eternal state of their organization. Now, I personally didn't expect them to win. Washington's been playing very well. Jayden Daniels has been borderline perfect this season.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting the Browns to win. But outside of whatever that not disaster was in the opener against Dallas, they've at least kept it close in the rest of the season. Everything's been within 10 points, within a touchdown, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
This one, the wheels came off, and not only did they lose as they were expected to lose, but in general, the Deshaun Watson looked horrendous. So, how bad do you feel? Not necessarily Deshaun Watson's perspective, but the Cleveland Browns as a whole.
I feel bad for the Cleveland fans. I don't feel bad for that organization. You did this to yourself. You signed the man to this fully guaranteed contract, and not even knowing what you were going to get. You assumed you were getting Houston Deshaun. Nope, you got trailer trash Deshaun. Let's be real. If you watch that game, that 4th down where he walked off the field when, Stefanski wanted to go for it, and Deshaun just walks off the field like, yeah, man, I'm good. I don't want to go for it. I'm good. Like for real, like that team is like for real. And like you see Stefanski, like, are you serious right now? This is what I got to deal with. Jameis Winston should be playing on that. Should be playing. I'm telling you right now, Jameis Winston should be playing.
You can't do any worse. There's zero chance Jameis Winston would be any worse than Deshaun Watson right now.
Here's the thing, though. Jameis would give them hope. He would be somewhat of a leader. Deshaun's not a leader. Let's be real. You see if you see the body language of that team, they're just like, all right, here we go. Let's just go 4-out and move on. There's no one out there trying to stoke the fires or anything. This organization is absolutely a mess. And until they can get out of this contract, they can't do anything. Can't do anything. So you know what? And the worst part is Stefanski sits there after the game. Nope, we're sticking with Deshaun. Why? Because ownership probably said, can't do anything. We're paying him. You better play. You're not going to sit the guy. So this is what it is. So Cleveland fans, enjoy this mess. And what's going to happen is this, though. They'll get that 2 or 3 games towards the end where there may be some hope, and they're like, oh, they're going to turn it around. And then they're just going to lay that egg, and it's going to be done. So I feel bad for the fans. The organization, strip it down. Strip it down. Horrible.
Maybe Craft Brew Reviews has the reason why. Maybe Deshaun Watson's just a little tipsy beyond the sideline.
Unreal. Deshaun Watson. Oh, Blue Moon. Oh, so nice. So nice.
So I got to ask, for the way forward for this franchise, is it better to cut your ties, eat the dead money, and risk him going somewhere where maybe he produces, maybe someone figures him out? Or is it a bit more of a statement to make to bench him? You got to eat the money anyway. Just bench him and make him rot so he doesn't wind up going somewhere and maybe producing. Because you already look bad for giving him the contract. You might look worse because when you gave him the contract, it didn't work out. You let him go, and then he goes somewhere and does something successful. Like what is the best way forward for this out of this disaster?
If it's me, I'm like, you know what? I'll just cut you one big check. Here you go on your way, move on. If I could do that, I would. Because here's the deal: you're gonna keep if you decide to bench him, he's gonna mope around. And I'm sure he's got some guys on the team that like him. So there's gonna be this divide, and it's gonna cause issues. So unfortunately, the hands are tied. Me personally, yeah, I'm gonna say, all right, dude, we're gonna try, Winston, and just see if we can get a spark. Knowing very well, I probably will not go back to him. No one in the league is gonna touch that contract. No one wants that mess. So either way you go, there's a problem. You're not going to solve it literally. There's going to be issues. You're going to hear it if you send him home and he never comes back. Oh, you basically just should have gave him the money and let him walk because that's what you did. Or if you let him play, you guys are not going to win. He doesn't care. Cleveland is screwed. They're screwed. It's over, man. Just eat up the next couple years or 3 years and call it a day.
But not to be all negative like we were on the Jets. Let's clap it up like we did for the Vikings. Let's clap it up for Jayden Daniels and Washington. He got off to a bit of a rough start.
But, he was a little shaky.
Yeah, but he rebounded. He rebounded. He had a hell of a lot of rushing yards on the ground, despite all the touchdown going to the running back. So he rebounded well, and they ran the score up with relative ease, despite the slow start.
At the end of the day, the kid is good. Daniels is really, really good. And what's funny is if he throws a pick or makes a mistake, you never see him hanging his head or anything. It's just, okay, next play. And he's able to, put it behind him, and, they're able to put points on the board. Like, let's be honest, their defense is still suspect. There's no doubt about it. But they played Cleveland, so it is what that is. You're not going to worry about that. At the end of the day, they've got that offense moving and putting up points. So give Washington their kudos, and they're division leaders, man. NFC East, man. Yeah.
The Crafter Review's point, it's okay to F up, better to move on. Well, that is quite the F up for the Browns. So
if I had if I got that kind of money, I'm not effing up that bad. That's no, I can't. That's crazy, but that's Cleveland for you.
Yeah. The next one, who had it worse? Unfortunately, my beloved Colts are on the list here. So now, again, we talked about this in the pregame show. This is just pure dumb luck. Our best chance to end the curse in Jacksonville against this abysmal Jaguars team that can't close a game out. Of course, half of our defense is injured. AR, made of glass, gets ruled out maybe as a precaution, but it's AR. It's probably better to be precautionary. And of course, Taylor dealing with a high ankle sprain, which is sure to linger. That's not exactly an easy injury to deal with. So how bad did my Colts have it? Especially considering the fact that Flacco somehow showed some life in his arm, put up 350 yards, got us back into the game, and we still lost. And Jacksonville, shocker, actually closed out a game.
Yeah, man. Last week you said Flacco's arm was done. You were putting him out the pasture, taking him to the glue factory. My man put up 357. I'm sorry, man. You throw 357 in the league, your arm's got to have some life in it. But
more than Aaron Rodgers.
But you said yourself, you guys are like Buffalo. You're the walking wounded. Let's be honest. And Jacksonville with all the talent they have should have won this game. We a lot
more than they did.
Exactly. We picked against them because we just think it's just a cluster over there with the coach and everything like that. So, with that talent, they should have won. They barely eked it out. So now they got their first win. They're probably going to lose next week. So it's when you've got injuries like that, especially like on your D line and things like that, it's just you gotta the run game. You gotta just take the pieces you got and hopefully figure something out. So I don't think it's horrible, but I think it's a good thing. Flacco bounces back, has a good game. But you wouldn't have been in that position if they didn't put in AR again after the first hit last week, and then let him have him run and take another hit, and then he's out. So they really need to figure out how to take care of him, because right now he's starting to look fragile, kind of like RG3-ish in a way.
Very much so, yeah.
And if that's the
I got a
case,
shudder down my spine.
and if that's the case, then in a couple years you're going to be back again trying to find your franchise guy. I don't know. Maybe Flacco will still be there. I don't know, but
yeah, probably not.
so
That really will not have any life left in it.
it's going to be maybe you guys start looking for, even though Taylor's still in his prime, maybe another running back and kind of go a two back set, kind of relieve some of the pressure off of him. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to figure out with this offense, but you guys were beat up. I wouldn't take it to heart. You went in there and you held your own with them, so you can't. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, that's almost like a wipe your brow if you're Jacksonville, because you should have won here and you barely got out with a survival win.
Exactly. Because if they had lost that game at that point, Peterson's gone. There's no way they could have kept him. No way.
Black Monday cometh early. Next up are a couple games recently concluded on the West Coast. Late starts on Sunday. The first one, the Niners, another team that's a walking wounded, but Arizona's been extremely Jekyll and Hyde. Either Kyler and crew are either the greatest show on turf out there and lighting it up, or they look as hapless as Cleveland and before today Jacksonville. And the Niners had a 13-0 lead, blew it. Arizona came all the way back, then a pick by Purdy at the end to seal it. So how bad do you feel if you're the San Francisco 49ers?
I'm feeling bad.
Despite the injuries, the injuries don't save the excuse of this one.
You've got enough talent. There's still enough talent on that team. Excuse me. It's Arizona, man. It's Arizona. I don't get it. It's the Niners, even though they have injuries, they still have enough talent where if you were to stack these teams up like you did today, they still should have won. They should have pulled it out. And it's like Kyler wakes up sometimes and decides, I want to be great. I want to be great. So today's the day. And then another week, he's like, nah, I'm good. We'll just be whatever. We'll figure it out. Or
back to the sticks.
he was like, I was on late last night. Black Ops came out. I'm done. This and that. I don't get it.
You should have seen this new by Snipe from the second tier.
He's like, that dude camping. That dude was camping. That's what happened. But no, the Niners should have won. They didn't. They just, I guess they played down. They played down to the competition. They have injuries, but still, they have enough talent. Purdy, when he's on, is a great quarterback. I don't know what it is. He threw the pick at the end, but there's still enough talent there to win this out. So I just don't know where the disconnect is. Arizona, they just win random games. I don't know. They're a random team to me. I don't get it. So if I'm the Niners, I'm ticked. I'm ticked.
Yeah, and the only saving grace for them after this one is the rest of that division is also a disaster, because the Rams, another walking wounded team, they took one on the chin, put in a valiant effort trying to come back against the Packers, but fell nonetheless. And the other team in here is our final edition of Who Had It Worse, the Seattle Seahawks. You're coming off that Monday night shootout with Detroit. You lost, but you still kind of flexed the muscles a little bit. Guys played well. Got in the end zone quite a bit in that game. It's like, okay, let's go home. Let's kind of shrug that one off and flex our muscles against the lowly Giants. The Giants got out to a lead in this one. They got points off turnovers. Danny Dimes, it looked like a respectable quarterback. But still enough, Seattle had an opportunity to drive down at the end of the game, tie it up. It gets blocked. ran all the way back for the cherry on top of the Giants. So how bad do you feel if you're the Seattle Seahawks, especially considering you were 3-0 and now take 2 L's in a row?
Yeah, you lost to the Giants. It's all. At the end of the day, you win this game and you start to almost kind of separate yourself in the division because of all the problems that all these other teams have. It's like, all right, we're the only one that's been kind of consistent. We get this win. All right, we're looking good. Nope. You're like, hey, man, who lost? Everybody loses. It's NFC West lose week. Here we are. Woo. Oh, we got the Giants. We'll make it look good. And here we are.
Yeah.
You lose to the Giants.
This isn't flying, it's falling with style.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, style, all right. Danny Dimes. Good Lord. Who wants to lose to that mess? But it is what it is, man. It just shows, any given Sunday, and I don't know, maybe they're tired, maybe they were a little beat up. I don't know. I figured they would have been up by like 2 scores. I didn't give the Giants any chance. But that's the thing with the Giants, though. Like the game you think they should lose without a doubt, they somehow defensively play well, get a play here and there, and somehow eke it out. And then all of a sudden there's that false Danny Dimes hope. And then the next 4 weeks they lose by 120 points. They're getting blown out.
They couldn't do us a favor. They couldn't do us all a favor. Just beat the Giants. Just beat the Cowboys the week before.
Right?
And we would have to pick this week.
Right? They're like, no, we don't want the Cowboys. Give us the Seahawks. Yeah, here we go. So it is what it is. Give the Giants their kudos. They're keeping it close in that NFC East. But Seattle, man, you guys had a chance to kind of distance yourself and kind of take the division. So if I'm them, I'm feeling bad.
And to your point, I mean, they were banged up against the Lions, so presumably they're not completely healthy in this one. But that game, at least, okay, it's the Lions. You don't want to lose, but at least you can kind of feel like all right, we lost to the theoretical better team. This one is just a fluke, or do you think they have to look in the mirror and kind of study themselves a little bit?
That second half of the Lions game, how many points did you put up? You were just ringing them out. You play the Giants and you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know.
Football? What is football?
Football?
The round thing you kick, right?
This is the World Cup. Let's go. It is what it is. These are, and this could be a game that down the road could be a game where they look and say, well, we could have made the playoffs if we just won that game against the Giants.
Yeah.
These are the games where you look at it and it's like we should have won, but we didn't, and it affects, standings. So we'll see how they bounce back, but this is one you should have had.
Yeah, I mean, forbid if it comes down to a common opponent and everyone else took care of business and waxed the Giants and you're the only one that didn't.
They're all looking at each other going, we beat the Giants. Who didn't beat the Giants in the division?
Gino's in there.
Yeah, Gino. Nice job, Gino. Appreciate you.
So to wrap up, Patriots, Browns, Colts, Niners, or Seahawks, of this whole amalgamation of failure this weekend Sunday, which one would you think take the cherry to having the worst day?
The Browns.
Okay, if it's not the Browns, I figured you were going to say the Browns because they're just a dumpster fire.
What are you gonna do? Like it's the Browns. You got to be realistic. Those other teams have some form of reasoning. Okay, they at least show effort. The Browns on offense don't show any effort. Your quarterback looks disinterested. He's just waiting every 2 weeks to get his check because it's guaranteed. He doesn't care. He doesn't have to play for his money because it's been given to him. And that whole organization is, like you said, a dumpster fire. So it's Cleveland all the way.
Full send. So to wrap up the show, we spent a lot of time in the pregame show talking about this Sunday nighter with Dallas and Pittsburgh. So we're gonna do things a little differently. Monday night has two teams that hold jovially speaking, the most fondest of places in your heart. The Kansas City Chiefs and the never-ending love affair with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, and the dynastic Red Kingdom, and the New Orleans Saints.
No, and Taylor Swift. Don't forget her, Taylor Swift, because she gets TV time.
She wears her hoodie. She wears her red hoodie, and may as well be a uniform. And of course, the New Orleans Saints, the ire of your eye, as it were, most weeks in the last several years. So, how do you even remotely approach this, deciding who would I rather see lose, or who do I mind least winning?
I have to look at this game from of what do I gain perspective. The Saints lose, that's just one more game less, and that's one more game they got to dig themselves out of. So there's that. The Chiefs, if I see them lose, it's just nice to hear. I turn on the radio on Monday, on Tuesday. Hey, what happened? He got beat by the Saints. Blah blah blah, and I just a little extra pep in my step. But yeah,
the only thing you get out of that is you avoid Joe Buck and Chris Collinsworth and Tony Romo and Jim Nance.
I get away from that 5-yard pass was magical. Because Patrick, the way he ties his shoes, Patrick Mahomes is incredible. The way he ties his shoes. So it pains me to say, but yeah, if the Chiefs could do me a solid, it would be nice. It would be nice if they could do me a solid.
I don't ask you for much, but do it once this time.
Yeah.
Bucks McGee.
You know what I want? I want Patrick to have the worst game of his life, and they somehow pull it out.
Yeah.
They somehow pull it out. The defense scores a touchdown, and then I'm good. I don't have to deal with it because I'm just. I can't stand Cam Jordan. I can't stand the Saints. I can't do it. It's a mess. But after that, if I have to hear how Patrick Mahomes is the greatest thing in the world, I swear I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose it. We'll lose it.
That's one of those games where you just watch the Manning cast, so you don't have to listen to the announcers.
I'm going to tell you guys, watch the Manning cast. That is some entertainment. And know what? It's some smart football because listen to Peyton. I don't care about Eli, whatever. I don't care about Eli, goofy brother. Peyton sits there, breaks it down, and of course he asks Eli what he would do or whatever. And then Eli, is like, okay, Peyton. Well, this is what I would do. Okay, whatever. But literally, it's smart, and especially when they have the hoodie on there. Bill Belichick, man, that's some smart stuff. I'm like, I never would have thought of that. And they break it down. So Manningcast is good stuff. But you know what? You never really hear them go, oh, Patrick is magical. It's only on freaking NBC. Chris Collinsworth, man. Oh, my goodness. The way Patrick turned around and threw that 5-yard hitch, magical.
Magical.
I'm like, get out of here, man. I don't have time for this mess. But yeah, Chief.
Now, all fun aside, I mean, football-wise, what do you kind of foresee this going? This kind of breaking down. I mean, is it going to be a situation? Because New Orleans been a team this season that had a lot of outbursts where they score a lot of points, and then they've looked like they don't know which hand is their left hand. And then Kansas City, I mean, we know what that is. You've got the walking wounded in the receiving core, and Patrick looking pedestrian. If it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers this year, we'd probably be slamming on him a lot more. So I mean, what do you actually expect out of this one? Which Saints show up, and can Patrick actually survive the gauntlet?
Well, here's the thing: the Saints. It was one of those. All of us, and that's a thing. The first 2 to 3 games of the season are almost preseason-esque. So yeah, everyone was like, "Oh wow, the Saints, this vaunted offense, they're going to do this and this and this, and in a 17-week season, this is the points they would put up, blah blah blah." And then all of a sudden, the points fell away, and then it was like, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, they're the Saints now. Okay, here you go." So and with the Chiefs, it's teams just made stupid mistakes, and the Chiefs end up winning. That's one of the things. Teams would have the Chiefs. Cincinnati, perfect example. Had him ready to beat him. Pass interference call. Give the game away. So what it comes down to is, can the Saints handle the Chiefs defense? Because offensively, if I'm a team, I'm not. Yeah, you're scared of Mahomes because you know what Mahomes can do. But everything, you look around at the weapons, you're like, okay, no one is real. I don't think anybody's scared anymore of Travis Kelce. Travis gets his catches. There's no doubt about it. He was better last week than he was the other 3 games of the season. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, the blueprint is kind of there on how to beat them. They can't run the ball. This is Kareem Hunt is going to have a great game. You bring back Kareem Hunt. So it's going to be one of those things where if the Saints don't make mistakes, can control the ball, they've got a shot. They definitely got a shot. But I think it's also one of those things where at the end of the game, if they're up by 3 or whatever, and they've got the ball and they can eat the clock so that Patrick literally has 3 seconds to do something at the end, then there you go.
Yeah, I was almost thinking of reading in between the lines, and you're saying if the team can manage to not beat themselves, well, the Saints at times are prone to doing that. So if I read between the lines, maybe this is just holding serve, and Kansas City will move to 5-0, and this will be an afterthought on the season.
Yep, that's what it'll be. And so I'll deal with listening about how magical, how great Patrick Mahomes is, blah, blah, blah. That's fine for another week. I'll deal with that because the Saints will lose and I'll giggle and be like, all right, the world is right. So I'm fine. But no, the Chiefs have got to figure out what this offense is going to be. Like they really do. Is Kareem Hunt going to be able to really run the ball? It's going to be between him and Steele, their rookie. And Worthy is great, but he's just a run straight down the field kind of guy. He's not a volume guy. So again, it's going to be on the shoulders. And they don't do anything with Juju. I don't know why they signed Juju at all. Like, why did you sign Juju Smith-Schuster? Because he doesn't do anything. He
caught that one touchdown a couple weeks ago and hasn't done anything around that before or after.
I don't know why you signed him, but so they've got to figure out some kind of flow on offense, something balanced. And the Saints just can't make stupid mistakes and try to go shot for shot. But the way that Chiefs offense is, that's not really what it's built like right now. They just have to make sure that, they protect the ball and Derek Carr doesn't decide to start chucking the ball all over the place because he thinks he's great because he's hoping that, Devontae Adams comes to the Saints, because that's not happening.
No, and like you've said in the past, they don't have the money to pay him anyway. Well, Bucks McGee, there was a lot of mess to clean up this week, and we certainly had fun rubbing plenty of noses in said mess. So, sir, take us off air with your final thoughts on a roller coaster of a messy week 5.
All right, so your 1 o'clocks were either really riveting or they were Cleveland and they just sucked. So it is what it is. You Cleveland fans, I feel bad for you. Hopefully in another 4 or 5 years, you'll get your franchise cleaned up. Bo Nix, you and Jayden Daniels, you guys are the cream of the rookie crop. I got to give you guys credit. You guys keep doing what you're doing. Jets fans, you guys just suck. Enjoy it.